Welcome, my name is Tashara and this is StarMade. And this episode we are starting in our beautiful little library we finished last episode. But that's not what we're going to work on this episode, because this episode I set myself a list of chores. Well, sort of. I've got a couple of issues with certain areas of this ship, certain elements that I need to finish that I basically put off for a later date, and this is the later date. Because now that systems are in place, for the most part fixed, I can do those certain areas of the ship to do with the systems and design areas around them. And I don't have to take into account that I'm going to change systems again, because that's no longer needed, I hope. But one of the other issues I have as well, and that developed over time, so let's hop out of the ship for a second, are these turrets. Quite a while ago I redesigned these turrets, and I quite liked them at the time, but yeah, the more I looked at them, I found them to be a bit flimsy, and I didn't really like the shape all that much anymore. So I was thinking about redesigning them again. So yeah, we're going to start with a bit of design for my turret system. And that includes finally my AMS system, because this AMS system, okay, it's there, it works, but it doesn't really look all that impressive. So yeah, we're going to think about something different for that as well. And for those who have been paying attention to the end part of my last episode, you might have already seen this design of a new turret, because I had them on the ship already for the last version I showed there. And I tried to bring these bears a bit closer together, at least make them look like they're a bit closer together. And I wanted to give them a bit less height, a bit less of the bumpy shape I had in the turrets that are on the ship now. Yeah, I'm not quite happy with this either, so I'm going to scrap this one as well and then start again. Sometimes you just have to do that. The next step I took was starting a design with the barrel only in mind, the barrels here in front. I again placed them closer together and then fix them to a connected bit here that could basically rotate them up and down. That's the idea, at least. Then I have to think of a housing around them. So this is quite a different look already from the design over here with the lighter barrels and the design I had on the ship already. And I think this allows for a bit more detail, a bit more intricacy in my shape. I quite like how this design turned out, so I'm going to stick with this one. And this is what I came up with after a bit of fiddling with the shape. So I've got a housing around it now with quite a lot of detail in it and a bit more variation in color, because that was one of the problems I had with the design I have now. It was all gray, so it basically didn't pop out of the main hull of the ship. The only thing that it does have is old systems at the bottom over here. Yeah, I still need to change this to something that can be used with the new quickfire setup. I haven't done that yet, but that's for later concern. I just wanted to have the shape done first and see how it looks on the main hull of the ship. And here we are with the main turret system replaced with the new turret design. And I think it looks a whole lot more formidable this way than the alt gray turrets. So the dark gray stands out a lot more from the hull than the regular gray did. And as you can see, I replaced the old AMS turrets as well with a small design like this. I'm not exactly sure about the back of the turret yet, but I'll work on that later. The barrels I quite like how they are now, and they house 15 cannon blocks with a 75%, I think it was, cannon block slave system to it, so it fires quickly enough, and I think it's strong enough to down some missiles for me. At least I hope. I haven't really tested it yet, but we'll do that once I figured everything out. And I quite like how the look of the ship looks now with these new turrets. I even updated the big turret at the front a bit at the barrels here. Made the same shape with this well, cutout section here at the front and the slabs, and added some detail to the glowing front here with the bars. But that's about it. The rest is the same as it was before. I might still work on this a bit more to bring in some more detail, but yeah, I tend to do that in phases when I have some more inspiration for that. But I quite like where I'm at right now for this system. So the turret system was one of my chores, so to speak, that I needed to do on the ship. But one of the other things on my list is, well, systems in general. As you can see here, I started working on the power core of the ship to determine how big it's going to be and, well, basically where I'm going to place all the blocks for them. And I decided on a shape like this, and then probably use this shape here next to it for some sort of hallway surrounding the power banks. Because at first I tried filling in this entire area front of the ship, but yeah, I didn't really like how it looked when you scanned for them, and basically the shape was weird. So yeah, I'm going to combine interior spaces with the spaces that these blocks take up, and hopefully that works out a bit better in my mind than I had it before. And there are some other areas I need to concern myself with as well, and one of these areas is all the way down. It's an area I haven't worked on in a long time. This area over here. It's been empty for months, literally months. I recently noticed that one of my first videos I posted on this project was about 8 months ago. So it's been a long time since I started working on the ship. Yeah, this was the incoming goods for this particular docking port for ships that could dock to this ship. But this is very empty. There's no detailing over here. We do have this set of stairs here, but there's no real detailing here as well. And there's even an empty space below here that I haven't done anything with. And these are one of the only spaces left below the docking deck that don't have anything in them. Even the connection here to the maintenance hallways is not done. Yeah, and I need to do, yeah, I need to put something here as well. I believe I wanted to add some logic boards in here, the same as I did on the other end. So yeah, I need to clean up this place and start adding details. But first things first, I started adding in the power blocks over here, and then encasing them in 2 layers of advanced blue armor, just to protect them, give them some additional layer of protection. And like I said, I added a hallway next to it because this shape was very odd, but it lent itself perfectly, I think, for a hallway like this. And I tend to avoid very long hallways, but in this case, it's one of those hallways that you feel lonely in if you walk in here in a ship, and it can be quite eerie actually. So there might be an alien at the end of the hall that will stalk you. I don't know. At least something is going to happen here, I think. And as you might have noticed, I have some 45-degree angle hallways, and I did something with the floor, but yeah, the lighting isn't perfect for this yet, because I did read, I think it was in one of the Discord dumps, that this will be improved in future updates, that the lighting will be similar to the ship this item is docked, because this is a docked item that forms the floor, part of the floor, in the main ship. And then we've got this very odd area at the front that I have no clue what to do with yet, because it's very oddly shaped as well. But well, we'll think of something. So yeah, this really is a maintenance hallway. It doesn't really do anything except that. And then we're going to go into an area over here that is next to the shield generator that I still have to fine tune as well because it's too small at the moment. I need to make it bigger. And then I have to fill up this area next to it. With a chore list like I have this episode, you tend to be all over the project in different places. Like I showed you before, this area is not done either. So I started working on here once I started finished the hallway next to the power banks. And I started adding details within this stairwell. So I added some air treatment or air conditioning type equipment, some computer consoles, things like that, some other gratings and little details that make this place feel a bit more lively. And then connect it up to this area over here. It was already connected, but there wasn't a lot of detail going on. This connects to this area, as you might have seen before. And then added doors to the side that lead to a hallway over here that has some grating with some piping behind it, and then connects to this maintenance hallway over here. So yeah, it lines up quite nicely. This door leads to a new area for logic boards I can use to place additional logic in. So what I did is basically have a very large board of circuit blocks, and then I can place logic blocks inside here to do something with logic. And one of the things I want to move, because it's not here yet, is this piece of logic over here. This is next to the main engineering compartment, this thing. So if you press this button over here, then there's going to be an animation of some lights that flash behind these pipes, indicating some sort of charge that is being sent to the main engine over here. And then once they reach the end, they pulse like this. And then in here they pulse like this as well to indicate a start sequence of the main engine. But yeah, it wasn't really a good idea to place this logic over here between these walls, at least in my opinion, because then you can't access them once I've placed every free space with these circuit boards between the walls. So yeah, I'm going to move that to one of the free circuit boards I created in the spaces below. I quite like this little staircase I've got going here. It really feels like you're going deeper in the bowels of the systems of the ship. And I worked out a design for this area. It's barely recognizable anymore, I believe. And I quite like how this turned out. So lots of piping and other gadgets and large silos for whatever stuff is pumped out of the cargo for this ship. And yeah, sometimes you just have to add stuff and see where you end up. It doesn't really have to mean anything. I mean, it's just machinery and piping. What it exactly does doesn't really even matter. It just has to look interesting. And that's why I added one of the orange and one of the red pipes as well. For example, that hot liquids are pumped out, for example, lava or something like that. But yeah, it can mean anything, whatever you want it to be. And then, of course, the access to the actual cargo transfer that is docked over there at an angle. So yeah, this area turned out quite nice, I believe. And it's something, at least the method I used, that I can use for the area below here as well. I already added a set of stairs, or at least a ladder over here that ends up here in the main stairwell area, so you can access that floor below as well. But it's just going to be purely machinery for accessible for maintenance, but that's about it. It's not an important area, it doesn't do anything, but it's interesting. I mean, it's a place you can imagine that people will hide or do shady dealings. that shouldn't be seen by the captain. But yeah, places like that are interesting to me. And this is what I come up with for this very lowest lower floor of the ship. This is the lowest you can go as a crewman. This is not a place a regular person goes to. This is just for crew and occasional maintenance, and that's about it. So there's lots of piping and structure in the walls and ceilings, lots of these brown tanks and blue machinery, gray machinery, whatever it is they do. And on this end, I got a small table made out of a grate and 2 chairs, and someone is playing a illegal game of poker here, something like that, or some other shady deal is going on. Just little details that make it feel a bit more alive, in my opinion. But for the rest, there's nothing but machinery down here, so it's a very desolate place to be. Not a lot of action going on. And then, yeah, disconnect to the main hallway to this stair, like I said. Another thing on my list of small chores I needed to do was add this space over here. This is the control room overlooking the main engine area. And I've got here a button in here as well that starts the main engine start animation. And I could do this because I finally moved all the logic that was behind well, this wall that is now filled in to the new place in the logic board room I created earlier. Yeah, and that was really a pain. That was really a chore. I mean, I had to connect every one of these lights behind this pipe, and it was a pain, really a pain to do. But it's done, finally. Another thing I decided to do is make a copy of the hallway that connects the elevator from the floor below to this floor as well. The only difference is that there's a different type of door at the other wall over here. We have this big door over here at the lower floor and this door for the control room that has a ceiling now. There's nothing much here. It's just a couple of controls and some chairs, but I have to decorate this a bit more in the future. That's not my main priority for this this episode at the moment, because, like I said, I'm all over the place at the moment because I started working on this area now. This is next to the rebalanced shield charge unit. So we've got a similar hallway setup over here and then some space next to it. I have to think of something to decorate it with. And then we've got a door here that leads to this long hallway I showed you earlier in the episode. And what I decided to do is make use of the height I had next to the shield recharge block. And I've got a little space left on this side. I might be able to add more weapon systems to the main weapon, but I don't think it's needed. Otherwise, I'm just going to fill it up with circuit boards. And this is now the new entrance to this area. And it has got a very particular feel to it. I've got a lot of machinery here hanging from the roof with brown pipes hanging between them. Some sort of charging system, I believe it would represent. And then next to it, I've got other machinery that's behind a fence in this long hallway. You can go here and then do maintenance work on it and work on this maintenance station over here. Or you can go around it and then go to the end of the hallway and go here to the entrance to the power maintenance tunnel that we've got over here. So yeah, really, really creepy feeling as well, because this is exactly the place the alien is hiding when you're searching for it, and it's going to jump out at you and probably kill you very horribly. But yeah, ships need places like this as well, in my opinion. Okay, yeah, I think I did enough random stuff this episode on my ship, but I'm very happy with filling out all the odd spaces that I had left over, because everything below here is now filled up. And I only need to add some circuit boards here and there to fill up some empty spaces, but that's about it. So I can concentrate on the remaining 3 decks I've got plenty of space in this area over here. It's already started mapping out some other rooms I want to fill in the living space and the entertainment, whatever the crew needs to survive. I hope you enjoyed this episode with all my random rooms I created this time. If you have any questions or other remarks, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.